Hey, fifth grade. I hope you are all doing well. I hope you are healthy. I hope you are not spending all of your time on video games and that you are feeling good. Hopefully, not too bored. But we're going to do something about that if you are. We are going to be posting different resources, videos, assignments for you as time goes on here. We don't know how long this is going to go on, so we're going to make the most of it and make sure that you all are staying on top of your education. So you got to be patient with me here. I'm trying to figure out how to do this virtual teaching and how to upload all this to YouTube. I don't have a YouTube channel, so I'm learning as we go here. Some of you may know, you may not. April is Poetry Month, and so I was so excited to do poetry with you all specifically. I know so many of you are self-proclaimed poets and artists with your words, and so I was really excited to do it with you. Bummed that we're missing the entire month of April, so I thought, you know what? Hey, let's just do it anyway. So we're going to be doing some poetry together this week, and with that, we'll be looking at theme and some other different ideas as we go on, but this week we'll kind of focus on theme. And we're going to take a special look at identity, because I think poetry and identity are often so connected, and I love that, because who do we know better than ourselves, right? So I'm really excited to dig in with you all. I'm really excited to see the poetry that you're producing. We will be doing TDQs. For any parents or anyone listening that doesn't know what a TDQ is, if any of my students forgot after all these weeks out of session with school, they stand for what? Text-dependent questions. So I'm excited to hear your responses, or rather see them. So what I want you to do as we go on is you're going to type it and send it to me in an email. Now, some of the visuals that I'll be showing you are graphic organizers. I'm not asking you to recreate those. I figured it would just be easier if I kind of put it in literal word format and explain to you what I'm looking for. And trial and error, whatever doesn't work this video, we will know for the next one. So yeah, this video should be up and posted by Wednesday morning, and then I will have another one posted for you all by Friday morning. So that's for this week. See how things go. Next week we'll reevaluate. We will continue with poetry next week though, but through a little bit different lens. So I'm excited. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first poem that we're going to read together, or I'm going to read to you, but I will have it up on the screen so you can see it and read along. It is called Masks, and it's nice and short. It's by the wonderful Shel Silverstein. This was written in 2011. And before we read, as we read, I want you to be thinking about a few things. So one, I want you to really think about, what do you think the masks stand for in this poem? Pretty simple, right? And then I also want you to be looking for significant details that have to do with creating an identity. So when we talk about identity, it's who you are. It's the way that you see yourself, the way that you identify, right? You hear that root word in there. So I want you to be thinking two things so far. What are the masks in this poem? And what are details from this poem that are about creating an identity for yourself? Okay? So let's read. Here we go. She had blue skin, and so did he. He kept it hid, and so did she. They searched for blue their whole life through, then passed right by and never knew. All right, I know you all miss my cheesy readings, so there you go. You got one for today. Go ahead and write down, type those two things. One, what do you think the masks stand for in that poem? Masks. It's the title of the poem. It's also part of the illustration, so really think about that. Two, what are some of the details from that poem that are about creating identity? Okay, so again, I already said those in my last little clip here. Go ahead and type those up, and then press enter and get ready for TDQs. Okay, also, you can always pause this video as we go and go back whatever you need to do, okay? So TDQ1, I'm going to try to find a way here to have all of this posted as I'm reading it so that you're not just trying to remember what I'm saying. Number one, TDQ number one. Which statement best explains the metaphorical meaning of blue skin in the poem? So I hope you remember what a metaphor is. If you don't, it is something you need to go look up, okay? And I'm going to list A, B, C, and D here on the screen. I want you to read through them. I'll go ahead and read through them as well so that you have that. And tell me which one best explains the metaphorical meaning of blue skin in the poem. A, in the poem, only 2 people in the whole world have blue skin, which means that they must be soulmates. B, in the poem, blue skin is such a common trait that people must wear masks in order to appear unique. C, in the poem, blue skin represents a quality that people are afraid to share, even though it is an important part of their identity. Or D, in the poem, blue skin represents the sadness that people try to hide by always being polite and keeping smiles on their faces. Okay, so if you need to pause, reread through those, go ahead and do that. And I want you to, don't just type A, B, C, or D. Type what letter you think it is. Make sure you label it as TDQ1 because otherwise I'm just going to have a bunch of random letters and I won't know what they mean. So for TDQ1, put A, B, C, or D, whichever answer you think is correct. And then give me a short explanation why. I'm not looking for a full paragraph, just enough to understand your train of thought and why you chose what you did, okay? And then we will go ahead to the next TDQ. It's part B. Goes along with the same question. Which quote from the poem best supports the answer to part A? So this is where your explanation should come in handy. Which quote from the poem best supports the answer to part A? A, she had blue skin. B, kept it hid. C, searched for blue. D, never knew. All right, so tell me which one of those, TDQ2, which of those is best supports your answer, and then tell me why. Again, you know I always want to know your why. All right, we are rocking and rolling, 5th grade. Number 3, how does the illustration contribute to the meaning of the poem? A, the size of the masks in the illustration emphasizes how hard people try to hide their true selves. B, the simplicity of the drawing shows that being your true self is easy to do. C, the masks facing opposite directions in the illustration show that lying will get you nowhere. And D, the different hairstyles in the drawing show that just because 2 people have blue skin doesn't mean they are alike in every way. Okay, A, B, C, or D, and tell me why. Next TDQ, this is TDQ4. How do the last 4 lines help develop the message of the poem? All right, so go back to the poem and look at those last 4 lines. How do they help develop the message, the main idea of this poem? What is it trying to say? I do want you to give me at least 3 sentences here explaining how those lines develop the message. Okay, so go ahead and take a minute, do that, type it up. Also, great time for you all to be working on your typing skills. I know we talk about that in school sometimes, and that's a skill that a lot of you want to have. This is a great time to do it. Get on those typing websites. Okay, next up. All right, we have a few more TDQs to go. However, we're going to pause before we move forward. Not the video. Don't pause the video unless you need to. I mean, let's pause our typing, and I want you to take a step back and think about what you wrote, and actually scroll back up to what you wrote, what you typed, for those first 2 things that I asked you to do. So 1, what do you think the masks stand for? And 2, what are the details that show you the significant details about creating an identity. All right, go back to what you wrote there. I want you to think for a minute. Is there anything that you could add to that based on the TDQs that you just answered? And now that you've had a little bit more time to mull over this poem. Okay? And then I want you to add a little bit more to each one. Whether it's, now don't delete anything you typed. I want to see your process here. So whether that's saying, hey, actually I changed my mind. This is what I'm thinking that they mean now. Or if it's, hey, I still think this because da-da-da-da-da. Okay? I want to hear your thoughts, and I want you to build on those thoughts that you started with and see where you're at now. Okay. Like I said, we have a few more TDQs to go. These next few will require a little bit more of an explanation on your part. I want to understand what you hear and see when you look at this illustration and hear this poem. And something I love about poetry is that it's art. And just as in any other type of art, the artist has a certain idea in mind when they create it, but then each observer of that art, we bring our own experiences into the picture and our own understanding, and so we all look at it a little bit differently. If it's slight or vastly different, it's what brings people together. So we're going to come back to that, and we'll have time to discuss it as a class at some point. Okay, so your next TDQ, I believe we're at 5 now, is in the poem, the two characters hide their blue skin from others. In your opinion, all right, I want to know what you think. Why do they hide this quality? So give me a short paragraph, 3 to 5 sentences or more. I'll never complain about more. Explaining your opinions on the answer to this question. Pause for as long as you need to. I'll meet you at the next one. All right, TDQ 6. Based on your own experiences, do people in the real world feel pressured to be just like everyone else? Okay, multi-part question here. Have you ever pretended to be a certain way in order to fit in? If so, how did you pretend? So we're getting a little personal here now, 5th grade. We're getting real with each other, but that's what poetry is all about, especially when we're talking about identity. And these answers will not be shared, just with me. So tell me your response to those. You all know that this is actually a really big part of my story as a person, and the ways that I pretended to be someone, or wanted people to like me when I was younger, and how that changed my behaviors. And so that part of my story, and I'd love to hear that part of your story too. Again, pause for as long as you need. I'm looking for answers to all of these questions. Okay, this is a multi-part question. While it's only one overarching question, there are multiple parts. So please make sure that you answer it in its entirety. Minimum 3 to 5 sentences, but this one could take up a whole page. Meet you at the next one. Okay, TDQ 7. How does this poem help you think about what it means to be a good friend? It's a good question. All right, 3 to 5 sentences. Dig deep, and meet you at the next TDQ. Actually, that's the last TDQ. I won't meet you at the next TDQ. All right, so by now you should have all of your answers typed up and ready to go. However, don't hit send on that email quite yet. Part of poetry and identity, I'm asking you some pretty personal questions. And I like to keep it real with you all. I like to share personal stories from my life with you. And so in a poetry unit, I will never ask you to write poetry, and I will not have myself not do the same. Hope you're tracking with me. So I'm going to share a poem I wrote with all of you. I wrote this last year as I knew I was preparing to leave Chicago. It was about this time during Poetry Month last year, and I was preparing to tell my students in Chicago that I was moving. So I was feeling very sentimental. Let me find this poem here. And yeah, so this is a little peek into how I was feeling. Chicago, I want to squeeze you. That's the title of my poem. Chicago, I want to squeeze you. I want to squeeze tight and embrace all of your summertime joy. I want to squeeze you so hard that blues music streams from your ears and the rumble of the owl is felt beneath our feet. I want to squeeze you for so long that I memorize the smiles and struggles of your people, the victories and failures, the moments of discouragement surrounded by the resounding hope of we gonna be all right. Chicago, I want to squeeze you so hard that I feel the warmth of all those that came before me. Before gentrification, the Great Migration, those who fell and those who rose. I want to squeeze your neck, Chicago, and smell the scent of deep dish pizza, ketchupless hot dogs, and cocoa butter covered skin. Chicago, I want to squeeze you until you seep into the depths of my own skin. That way, wherever I go, you'll be there too. All right, fifth grade, it has been so good getting to sit here and pretend that I see all of your beautiful faces, and knowing that many of you will be watching this and doing the work. Email it to me. Email me your answers to all your cheaty cues, all of your thoughts. You can add a personal note if you'd like, telling me hey. And my assignment for you, aside of all of these, from all of these things, you can do this in 2 separate emails if you want the extra time. Write a poem. Okay, I want you to write a poem. It can be about absolutely anything. It can rhyme, it cannot. Be free. Have fun with it. Make it personal to you. I look forward to reading your poetry. We will have, in the next video, time to kind of go over some of these answers. And if any of you want your poems shared, maybe we can do some of that. So let me know if that's something that you would like. And yeah, be sure to, if you have Instagram, I did create a teacher Instagram. My handle is Miss Bryant Teaches, MS period BRYANT TEACHES, Miss Bryant Teaches. I've already connected with a lot of you on there, and it's been fun to get to connect with you. I miss you all so much, and I look forward to hearing from you and reading your responses. Have a great rest of your day.